Hi everyone, Jen here. Um, just coming on to update you with what's been going on with me, what I've been feeling personally, the energy changes, the downloads, the ups and downs, the periods of I don't feel good and I feel like I'm going crazy out of my mind, and the periods of bliss that come after, and the upcoming Mercury Retrograde. So there's a lot to talk about. I'll make it as quick and painless as I can. So, personally, I've been noticing there's been a lot of energy downloads. There's been a lot of DNA changes for me. There's been a lot of developing new psychic awareness that I'm having along the lines of just going through everyday life. So, for instance, the other day, probably a couple of you know that I've actually had some eye problems in my left eye here. I've been having like some sty or something like that. And actually what's been going on is it was giving me so much trouble. And I didn't know what was going on. And last night, yesterday, it finally kind of decided to heal itself, more or less. But I noticed last night when I was going to bed, this whole side of my face, like from like here all the way up to here and like up that way, that whole section, this pocket, like almost like if you want to say the sinus cavity, completely last night felt new. And it's kind of weird to explain how it felt new. But for those who understand energy and energy flow, it's basically like my cellular crystalline DNA structure came online. If you watch The Matrix or made any references to The Matrix, you could be like, kind of like how Neo, like in the movie, said, "Why do my eyes hurt?" when Morpheus is helping him after he came out of the Matrix, and he said, "Because you haven't used them," which basically just means that my celestial and my crystalline eye structure came online. And that's why it was giving me all this trouble before, because all the old DNA and everything was being disintegrated and let go of, and the new DNA was being incorporated. And so it was kind of like a purging process, which means like all the old stuff that didn't fit, kind of went out. And now when I'm outside, it's almost as if I see colors differently. They're brighter. Things like resonate with me more. The other day I went out onto the driveway here and I saw my neighbor's car, and I'm like, is that car that color before? Like, did they go through a car wash? Because it's extremely bright right now and it's like shiny. Like, things start to, like, especially when they're in the sun. Especially when they're in the sun now, it's weird. So like the things that were kind of like mundane, like this railing here and things like that, that's just everyday stuff, the chair I'm sitting in or whatever. But now things seem to have more energy to it, I should say. It's more vibrant. I can see almost like the energy of the item or the thing. The other day I was actually out in front of my lawn, and I was thinking of a flower that I was explaining, because my neighbor said there were weeds here in New York, and I couldn't figure out the name of the flower, and neither could my grandmother. And the other day I saw one out in the front, and I was thinking about it, and I said, because I do this, because this is just me, I go up to the flower and I go, "What is your name?" I said, "I'm sorry, but I can't remember what name you are. Can you please tell me your name?" It was kind of like, at first it was kind of like a joke, because I do that sometimes. I'm just like kooky like that. People are like, "You're so weird, you talk to things, you talk to nature and trees." But then within 30 seconds, all of a sudden I got the name of the flower in my head, which I hadn't been able to receive in 3 days. So all of a sudden it ended up being like Queen's Anne lace. And I'm like, "Thank you." And so I thanked the flower for speaking to me and teaching me and, educating me on its name. Now, I had known the name of the flower before, so somebody who doesn't understand energy would just foo-foo it and be like, "Oh, you just remembered it at that time, it just clicked or something. You don't have special powers, or you don't have this, and you're just talking foo-foo." Don't worry about what other people think, because you and I know what's right in us, and we know what we're feeling. We know what's true. Just because they can't feel it or can't see it, that's okay for them. They're not ready for it yet. If you have to think of it this way: if that stuff was dumped on them, all of a sudden they'd go crazy, because they wouldn't be able to interpret it logically enough for them to cope with it and to be able to function. So little by little, they have to get ingrained into it. You know, like some people are further along the spiritual path than others. And so certain things that, you know, might resonate with them than other things. Like some people don't believe in celestial beings or visits from celestial entities. Other people are like, yes, I was visited. I know a couple people in this group were visited. And they said, yes, we have beings and we communicate and we are trying to advance the human race. Some people are like, yeah, no, that's all like conspiracy theory and stuff. So it depends on where you're at in your spiritual journey. Don't dissuade or disprove or, you know, judge other people for where they are. And this is a great place for where this is, because this group does not judge. And if anybody starts judging, I'm going to kick you out. No offense. I don't put up with that. So just, I mean, that's what I love about this group, is that it's so, you know, unified and we're like a family. So that's part of that. So as I go on, I'll notice more about it. And I've also noticed the more I'm drinking purified water, not tap water, this is like Poland Spring. Okay, I've been saying that I've been drinking Poland Spring, and it's just like Poland Spring water in my glass water bottle. Well, actually, this is just the glass one. I have a crystal one upstairs. And I infuse it with essential oils. This one's got peppermint in it for my tummies. But yeah, the more we get away from chemicals and things like that, the better we are able to see the different dimensions and things like that, because we're not clogged. Our pineal gland can work with the pineal, and I forgot the other one because I'm not into science. Yes, pardon me on that one. But there's a graphic in the group. If you scroll down into other sciences, you can find it. That all goes together, and that's what also activates our cellular DNA and our crystalline structures, which is what helps us to get to the 5D level. Plus, what we don't want to do is we don't want to start comparing our journey to other people's journey, because, like I said, everybody's on their own journey. So what comes in for me might not come in for you. You might be a vessel of spirit for some other kind of thing. Like some people talk to animals. Just some people talk to spirit, some people hear, some people see, you know, some people just know. I'm one of the ones that just knows. It's called clairsightedness, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but just clear knowing. There are people that have prophetic dreams. They just can see the future. Different things like that. There's a myriad of different things that, you know, but the cool thing is having everybody with that different thing is good, because then we can all come together and explain and get a fuller picture of what's going on versus just one thing. Because if we were just one thing, it'd be one-sided and we wouldn't get the whole understanding. I mean, we got people that have DNA key codes. Excuse me, I just ate dinner. Oh, I'm so sorry. And they're like the keys, and then other people that have like DNA locks in their system, and they have to unlock that. So we need one person to help the other person to unlock it fully for the rest of us to understand what's going on, and for the advancement of Gaia, Mother Earth, and the ascension. So this is a lot of what's going on. But definitely I've noticed I'm becoming, when you're doing like the chemicals and things, you get desensitized, is what I call it. You're not as in tune with it. Your energy levels go down. You can't see the connections and everything. And like even right now when I'm video recording this, it's like I'm nanoseconds slower. So I'll do this, I'll shake my head, and I can see through my eye that it's slowly going like this. And even when I'm doing this with my hands, I can feel the energy. Like I can feel the vibrations going left and right, and there's just within the space. I can feel it. It's so freaking weird, which definitely means something in me is being activated. More and more is being activated, and we're getting more and more downloads. Now, 2, Mercury Retrograde is coming. So that is the next portal, which is on the 7th of July. So this is going to be a big thing. I posted a couple things about it earlier. Don't freak out. We all just need to be aware of what things can happen. It's not necessarily that they're going wrong. We don't want to view them as going wrong, because that'll put us in the negative again, and then it'll bring down our energy field, and then we'll get, you know, into the lower vibrations, and we won't be able to manifest as fast. But what we want to do is we want to be aware that technology is going to malfunction a lot, because there's more energies coming in. And now that we can learn more about the energies, we can understand a little bit better why technology malfunctions, because there's a lot of unseen energy that's coming through, blocking the wavelengths of the Wi-Fi that most technologies use. It's not landlines anymore, so the land, you know. 2, if you're trying to get a new job, or if you're trying to buy a new house, This is not the good time to do it, because you'll end up having a lot of bumps in the road and things won't come together as swiftly as they would if you were outside of the Mercury retrograde. So if you're planning on doing that, like kind of hold off on like closing the sale or getting a new job or anything. I'm job hunting, so this is going to put me off for a whole month, which is not financially sound per se for me, or what, I was hoping for. But I know that if I get a job now, things will end up not coming together as much as they need, and it'll be more of a hassle on my end, trying to get things together and stuff. So I'd rather have the energy move smoothly than like try to get it together now. So I'm going to try to do other things that I can help out with other people to get money, to get that flow in, and just accepting, the energy where we are. Definitely use crystals to ground, or whatever you can to ground yourself, to definitely de-stress. So like if you're a bath person, take baths, nice warm baths, or sorry, I had some soup, it's coming up on me. Or end up doing anything with the RE, because we're in retrograde, we want to do things with RE. So rest, relaxation, recalibration, like I can't think of all of them right now, but reorganization, going through, there was one for finances and I forgot which one. But basically you understand what I mean, anything that you can think of with RE. So we want to do those things. And lastly, with the Mercury retrograde, what's going to happen is we're going to have a lot of miscommunication. So be aware if people start mishearing you, or you're speaking to each other and it's not working out, that's because the communication is just very hard right at the point. And I'm not 100% sure why that is, but I think it's also a way for us to understand and to work more on being able to communicate from the heart versus the head. So a lot of times we want to communicate with the heart, almost like we kind of want to do osmosis, like they used to say, like we just, without words, just think and feel, like emotion wise, just send out the love, and then it'll be a lot better. Certain people who are not in the position that we are as advanced spiritually might not understand that. So they might end up getting way more frustrated, because if they're in a lower vibration, they're working from a ego center more or less. And I'm getting so distracted by the reflex of the video when I move my head or something. It's catching me so off guard. Sorry, guys. But they're gonna like get really upset and take it out on you if they're not in the higher, vibrations. I'm probably gonna have to do a lot of internal work personally in this month for communication with my grandmother and my complicated relationship that I'm in. So we'll see how that goes. But we always want to remember to send love and light to those that we're in communication with, because that is what is really the point of all of it. Even though we're humans and we end up getting so frustrated and our ego gets in there a little bit, but we can be like, all right, you know what? I need to step back. Or be like, I need my time. And if they judge you, not the people in here, but outside, let them. That you cannot control that. You can only control how you react to it. Don't let them get to you, okay? You know your truth. You know what's right. I've known this for a long time. I built a relationship here with my grandmother, and it ended up blowing all up, because what I thought was truth was not truth. If you follow Lori Morrison, which I share in this thing, she has a book called The Disintegration of My Reality. Basically, her reality, everything she thought to be true, ended up falling apart, and then she realized there was more to it. Same thing with mine, but to a different degree. My reality, what I built up around me from being a child and being raised and things like that, and I thought everything was good, ended up, the facade fell, my house of cards fell apart, I hit the bottom, and then the truth came out like a truck hitting me flat in the face, or getting run over by a truck. So I was brought to the realization that what I thought was support and help wasn't. It was only support and help for them, and they were using me to the point where it was just to their benefit. And I had put all my stock on what they thought and pleasing them and doing all of that, and I forgot who I was, and I was so far away from my internal truth. So what I've had to do now is I'm back in the situation, but I've known how to put up boundaries, not let the negativity get to me as much. As an empath, it's really, really hard because I'm emotionally invested in a lot of people, regardless of if I do it on purpose or not, because it's just, as an empath, your energy is just there, and you just connect to that other person's energy wavelength and field. You can't stop it. It's just who we are. So I have to learn to reel in my energy and use those things to put up walls and be okay with putting up walls. For a long time, I was told it's not good. You need to help other people out and do that. And being able to take time out for myself, for self-care. I was told for a long time that was selfish. And that I was being, I didn't care about other people because I was doing that. And I felt very guilty about that. So for a very long time, I did not do that. Sorry, cars. But so yes, there is a lot of things going on, and we need to self-care during Mercury retrograde for sure. But just be aware of the different points that are coming across: communication, technology, starting anything new, or anything like that. We just got to be aware of that, and don't get all flustered when it comes up. Just be like, oh, this is happening, and this is because it's Mercury retrograde. I understand. So just like it's like when you're at the holidays, when you're like, oh, I have to go to Thanksgiving dinner with my family, and this is going to be weird. It's kind of like being like, okay, you just kind of have to, deal with it for a little bit, and be like, okay, don't get so overly reactive to it. And if you're getting overly reactive to it, look inside. See what is triggering you. If this is triggering you, then maybe you need to look inside and see what you feel is the reason why you're triggered. Are you it's I don't want to, what I'm saying is, for me, it's easier to do in personal experience. For me, I was getting so mad at other people who were judging me and things like that. But for a long time, I had to be right with myself, because I was realizing that judgment was actually me just judging myself through their eyes. So we always have to go within ourselves. We all have to see why we're reacting out of these pain points, and go inside and take time to heal that. For a lot of time, when I was young, I had to grow up fast. So my inner child is very bruised, so to speak. So I've been working with my inner child and being okay with being a child again, and kind of having that kind of life thing, because we want to be, hi Patty, we want to be very, very gentle with ourselves, so to speak. So when we do that, that puts us back in balance with ourselves. So the parts that we're reacting to out of anger or angst or frustration, we have to look inside internally and be like, okay, wait, what is part of me? What is this showing me that is out of whack? What is not in balance here? And you can even go into the chakras and figure out what chakras are doing that, or maybe these life lessons and these things that come up are to show us what we're not in balance with, and to be able to get back in balance with that. So then our manifestation and everything else will come back, and we'll be able to manifest a lot faster and for a lot of other things. And finally, so with the new developments in the energy things and all the DNA downloads and things like that, I've been noticing there is a lot of people out in the world that are acting very out of their ego. I want to say selfishly, but it's not really selfishly, because they don't even know what they're doing, because they're still in quote unquote sleeper mode. So I catch myself a lot when I'm out now and driving around, and I'll be like, well, that was extremely rude. Why did you just walk in front of a whole bunch of cars? You could have got hit. Why weren't you thinking? And then I'm like, wait, Jen, you're judging. These people do not understand. They're still in the quote unquote matrix. They haven't been unplugged yet. They don't understand what they're doing. They've been programmed to do it that way. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the time, and I'm going to do it all this month, to review things that I've put judgments on, and to reinvest in my own health and sanity, so to speak, and not to get so, not to worry about what other people are doing. We have a tendency, when life goes out of rye, to try to control our lives. The more we control our lives, the more our lives go out of whack. At least that's what I believe. Certain people like me, I tend to like systems put in place, and if those systems are out, I get off whack. They say I could have slight OCD or I don't know what, but I don't like to go with classifications because it's more of a psychic, spiritual energy flow. So it's more or less me trying to understand why I'm reacting the way I am, healing that part of me that's wounded, and becoming back in balance with that, and not being as invested in what other people view my life should be. Excuse me. So, yeah, during Mercury retrograde, let's all do that. Let's just focus on ourselves internally for a little bit for this whole month. That's a good way to get through it and to push through. The tips I like to do for Mercury retrograde is wear my Mercury retrograde bracelets, my grounding bracelets. This one's got kyanite, fluorite, and black tourmaline in it for grounding and communication. And then this one's got Amazonite associated with it as well. Amazonite, fluorite, and then black tourmaline over here. I got these from a friend of mine who was making them, but you can make them yourself if you do. Or if not, you can just carry the crystal in your pocket. Or you can just work on saying mantras, self-care, whatever you know is able to, like being out in nature. That also grounds me and centers me, and I'm actually able to be like, okay, I can deal with people now. Because sometimes I'm just like, nope, too much. That's like the other day. I was just like, I had a period when I was getting those downloads, and I had a period where I was just like, you know what? I hate the world. And it was so funny. I'm like, I hate the world. Every little thing was getting on my nerves. And I was just like, ugh. And, and even just like someone dropping something, I was just like, stop dropping things, and I'm like, why am I reacting so out of whack? It's because I was trying to integrate the downloads and I wasn't sleeping, because it's easier when we're sleeping. So the next day after I slept and it integrated, it does it automatically. Your body just knows what to do. After the next day, 24 hours, I felt a period of bliss. I was just like, oh my God, this is awesome. And it also went in with my eye activation too, being able to see the energy a little bit better. But I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm walking around town going, oh my God, I love trees. Oh my God, you're awesome. And I just had like this euphoric period where I was like, okay. And then the next day I was back down to that negative, not feeling good. I had stomach aches. I wasn't feeling, the way I should have felt. And it had nothing to do with what I was eating or what I was doing, because I was doing everything right. It's just the energy downloads were just coming in at such a fast rate that it's just hard to implement them. So just know that if you're having a hard time and you're all of a sudden getting agitated all the time, you're not alone, okay? This is happening a lot because we are constantly being activated and we're getting downloads, and then we're getting revved up for what is to come. I'm not sure what is to come. I follow Jamie too and some of her people. So I will post, she did mention another post in here by her friend Tina that I will post in here a little bit later about the coming up, the portal for 777, that portal, and just like different things that she's noticing, and then that I'm noticing when she's, talking and things like that. So, but anyways, that's all I have for you today. I will make sure I'm kind of on here a little bit more. I'd like to hear what you guys are experiencing, because I know we're not all alone in this. Definitely, I know a bunch of you have been hearing music coming through from spirit, lyrics that are showing up. I had that a couple months back, almost a year ago. I had numbers showing up originally, then I had music constantly just being like bam, 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 like one of my favorite songs constantly all the time. And the guy I'm involved with right now is having a lot of that happen to him too. So he's like accelerating now too, which I'm pretty happy about, because I thought he wasn't even going to be able to be activated at all. But we're all activated at some point. It's just interesting which way we decide to go. Some people will stay with us and journey with us. Other people will fall off and do their own journey. But that's okay. We have to be okay with that, because that is just how it is. And for us to grow, that's okay. And you can be angry all you want. Just don't stay in that anger too long. Work with it, work through it, because sometimes we have to be, and we have to feel these negative energies and these feelings in order to work through it and heal ourselves. But just don't stay in it for too long. Don't, this is so odd. The whole slow, shaky thing is it's throwing me so off. Sorry. But like, you don't want to stay in it too long, because then it'll bring it down, and you don't want to stay in that muck down there. We all want to be raised up and be like, woo-hoo! So yeah, self-care for sure for Mercury retrograde. If you're just coming on now, that's awesome. Catch the replay. Later on, you can put in the comments hashtag replay to see who viewed this and who didn't view it, and if it resonated with you, and different things, or what you're being activated with and what you're experiencing. I know I've been having a lot of cardinals come and visit me a lot now too. So I'll be putting more totems, animal totems up and things like that in the coming weeks and stuff like that when I get more time to center and organize myself. So yeah. So there was a lot in that, but that's what I got for you guys for right now. I will update you as new developments happen. But for right now, that's the crazy stuff happening to me, and that's the advice I have for Mercury Retrograde. So love, light, and blessings, everybody. Namaste. If you didn't see it all, catch the replay. I'll be here. All right. Love, light, and blessings, everybody. Have a beautiful Monday night. Namaste.